Show season is in full swing now.
Oh, man, is it ever. Not only are you going to get to be at your first contest for the year, the spring and the fall are just the model show seasons, and we are really hitting the stride in spring.
Well, we'll talk about us at the end, but we got a couple on opposite ends of the country to feature tonight, and they both sound like fairly sizable shows compared to what we're used to.
Yeah, well, I would love to attend either one of these shows.
Well, I'd really like to attend the first one because it's in sunny Florida, down in the greater Tampa area, held by the Pelican Model Club down there in the Tampa area, and it's a Pelican 2025. So let's see what that's all about, Dave.
Okay.
Dave, we got a double header this month for the show Spotlight, and our first one is coming from sunny Florida. We've got Mr. Don Buerger from the Pelican Model Club with us down the greater Tampa area. Don, how you doing tonight?
Oh, pretty good. It was a beautiful sunny day. I was out on the balcony. It got actually a little too hot, 83 degrees.
Well, you know what? It was rainy here, but at least it's been warm the last few days. But I got to tell you, Tampa St. Pete is one of my favorite parts of Florida. I love the place.
We're west of Tampa, but we have Dunedin and Safety Harbor and all these places that are beaches, and the spring training's going on here right now. And it's just even with the hurricanes, they get that stuff and put back into order quick as a whistle.
Yeah.
Well, Don, we hear you're hosting a show down there coming up in the coming month.
Yeah.
Why don't we start off by you introducing yourself and your role with the club, and maybe a little bit about your modeling background, then we'll get right into the who, what, and where of the show.
Okay. Yeah, I'm originally born in Detroit and lived there, and junior high onwards. After we graduated from high school, I joined the Toledo Modeler group there. That was an IPMS chapter, and we put on conventions and things. I used to go to the original Squadron shop in Detroit and John R. 9 Mile Road or whatever. People are familiar with that, but
oh yeah,
I was in there almost 20 years and left because I was building architectural models. You weren't going to build tanks and airplanes when you're doing that for a living, so I kind of quit modeling for a while. But then I moved down to Florida in 2008, basically, and I eventually joined the Pelican Model Club. And we have a pretty large membership. We average 35 folks at the meetings. We have about 6 women in our club too, and they all build. One paints flats, and they go to that Atlanta show.
Those are impressive. People who can do that are really talented.
We were involved, I think, in 1999 Nationals in Orlando, and then our club put on the 2012 Nationals in Orlando at Disney World there. And,
great Nationals.
People say that. I wasn't actually in the club at that time, but I went Sunday to the show. And then it was like a whirlwind. You couldn't take it all in. I wish I had done the entire weekend, but I had quit modeling. And then I picked it up in the worst way. I had 9, when I moved down here, I had 9 kits to my name. And now I have over 200.
Yeah, that seems to be a common theme.
I have more modeling tools than I do models. So go figure.
I probably do as well. Well, tell us about your show coming up. When is it and all that?
It's April 26th. We got a new venue this year. It's St. Lawrence Higgins Hall. It's basically a Catholic school, middle school, elementary school, but they have a hall that is, ballroom is just 10,000 square feet. Beautiful place out there. And I don't know if you're familiar with Florida, but we have a number of conventions that happen during the year. JaxCon just happened about 3 weeks ago. And they got 150 entrants and 551 models in their contest. We kind of trade every other year with Space Coast and us, because we don't do one every year. But there's PamsCon in June. Then there's the Nationals. Then there's Modelpalooza in Orlando come October. So we after COVID hit, we kind of went from 2-day affairs to 1-day shows. They seem to be the trend these days, and it's gold, silver, bronze. That's what Jacksonville does. I think a lot of people are going toward that, where every model, if you were to bring in 5 models, they would all be judged on their merit and out awards as such. Seems to be really successful. People like that. We have 27 categories and 11 special awards, including Judge's Best of Show. One of our founding members, the club founded in 1970, 72, something like that, Charlie Hess, he was featured in the latest IPMS journal. And he passed away just real suddenly out of the blue. So then we have a U.S. Marine Aircraft Special Award. And then one of our members worked for the Artemis program with NASA, and he was a Marine helicopter pilot, 35th anniversary Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So it's Saturday from 9 till 6, and there'll be a food truck there. And we expect, I know it's hard to say, things have picked up since COVID, and the main theme. The main theme is lights, action, camera, action. So it's anything that related to movies or TV is the theme of the show.
And I assume you have a theme award?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't, Spray Gunner?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, they're in our backyard here. It's about 15, 20-minute drive here. In 2023, we did a convention at the Hampton over there in Oldsmar, and they were right behind us. So they had a cookout for us and prizes and tickets, and they're going to be at the show. There's a book that employee and a member of ours, Nestor, did on that make ammo cells, hot pink cars, and he's going to do a demo.
He's had some amazing work at the national conventions of late.
Yeah, he did win a couple of years ago.
Yeah, a big car model.
Yeah, he'll be at our meeting this Monday, and so he's going to bring some raffle prizes for our raffle, which seems to be growing by leaps and bounds. So we're expecting a pretty good show. It's in the I-4 corridor all the way down there, but that's a problem with Florida. We're the state is Region 11, but not the whole state. The West End is in a different region. So we're kind of sitting out here by ourselves right in the middle of hurricanes.
Well, let's go back to the judging a little bit. And you're right. Since we've been doing these show spotlights and, a little over a year now, I think, Dave, I think that's right. We've not been seeking these out in particular to find and feature, but it seems like a surprising number, at least to me, have gone to that format either in part or completely. And how long have you been doing it that way?
Well, we canceled a couple shows during the height of COVID, but we kind of picked it up. This is our third show, I think, using, the coins and doing it that way. I prefer that. It's just because it gives everybody a chance that, naturally not too many golds are given out and there's more silvers and bronze, that way meet a certain standard of quality, you're gonna walk away with something, and if you don't meet that, unfortunately, you won't. So people were really happy with our last contest, and I believe Jacksonville, their convention, they just does it the same way. Model Palooza does the coins too. I think they might judge a little differently. I'm not sure.
And is that, I guess, attendees now, that's just a matter of fact, the way that show's going to be, and just generally accepted without any kind of pushback or anything? I mean, we like it too, but we're curious with the number of shows that have gone this way, and everybody seems to be enjoying it.
Yeah, I've literally heard no complaints about that, and IPMS needs to. I mean, they've talked about it. They've sent out surveys and things, but old ways are hard to die sometimes,
What do your vendors look like?
Well,
at your show,
we have Cultman TV there.
Okay, well, that's always a good one.
Jacksonville gets more of those because they're on the border of Georgia there. So we had a real small venue in our last show, and we had 45 vendor tables. We have 65 in there. the last one sold yesterday, so we're a little more than a month out from the show. It's local people and sometimes others that I say usually call it, man. It's really strange because this is the first time when we had an Oldsmar that there were more space, sci-fi, Gundam models entered, actual models at the tables, than there were aircraft and armor. And it's like, well, where'd that come from?
Yeah, well, the Gundams and sci-fi are becoming really, really popular,
Yeah.
as is real space. So you say the show opens at 9 to the public, and you're done with judging by when?
Let's see, awards. Well, it says on our flyer awards at 4:30, but that probably happened. They're going to judge soon as models come in. It's
Sure.
not like AMP's style of judging. Well, they kind of judge when they come in, but I think the judges meetings at noon, and we have experts hopefully in each of their fields there, and then we'll probably during the awards just mention the golds and the special awards, and because if we have to be out of there by a certain time. The other thing with putting on these conventions since COVID is they're so expensive now. If you put on a show, you're looking at hall rentals and things, and table rentals, and you're looking at $5,000-6,000 if you're lucky.
Well, and that is that it's one of the things that I can tell you the national faces, and in trying to get local chapters to bid for the national contest, is that we're already priced out of the really big markets. There's just no way a convention of our size can afford it. And
Yeah.
You're right that trickles down to the chapters, even though they're using much smaller venues and only using them usually for a day. You still have that problem that prices are going up everywhere.
Till that settles down, and in Florida things are really expensive because it's a tourist state.
Sure.
You got to find those little nooks and crannies, and just like trying to find a meeting place for your group.
So now, does your show have a raffle?
Yeah, we wrote regular manufacturers and have gotten some. We got like a $5 raffle, and we got the regular raffle, and we might have guest bags and things, hidden bags, or you might win that, and there might be a variety of things in there, modeling related. Yeah, we're gonna have you gotta always have the raffle and whatever, and we're gonna have Nestor do the demo and probably do something to do with his book that he wrote. So yeah.
So is that the only demo at the show, or do you have any others going on?
No, just that one. With a 1-day show, you're kind of
Sure, you're limited.
Most don't have one at all, so
Exactly.
1-day show. So if you've got that as a feature, that's a good thing.
That's a plus.
Yeah. No, we it's kind of like a regional. I don't know if we really have a regional here because everybody calls their show a regional. So, and they're all big. I mean, PAMS, they do it up by Polk County. That's over by Lakeland, and they throw a huge show in June, and they have about 500 some models show up. And we consider all these local shows. In Orlando, the same thing. They do it at a big hotel, expensive hotel in Kissimmee, and they always put on a good show, Model Palooza. And
Well, you said there was a food truck on site. Is the
well, we plan on getting one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're still about a month out. Well, that shouldn't be too tough. But in the event that's not appealing to everyone, or you don't get that worked out, is it convenient to other things?
Well, we will have food at the show one way or another.
Okay.
The vendors have to, be served, and if they're by themselves, without somebody helping them out, then that'd
Yeah.
right. It's at the northeast corner of Tampa International, and right at that intersection, there's a Wendy's there too. So it's not like there's not food nearby, but there you go. We found a service that will get you a food truck in a certain price range, but they demand, the one my co-chairman there, Ozzy, got was they need $800 worth of sales. So, and their average food price is like $15. So if you go 50 times 15, that's $750. But if we don't make that $800, then the club's got to make the balance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Be something for folks to keep in mind if they're thinking about food trucks.
Yeah. And with the popularity of food trucks, and I know here in Louisville, we've got tons of them. So, you go around, if you don't like what you hear from one food truck, there are plenty of others, and some who are really hungry for business, and you can find one of those and they'll meet your needs.
Yeah. Just finding one on a Saturday, if you do it during a weekday.
Yes.
Weekends are kind of taken sometimes, but
No,
there'll
that
be
is
food
true.
at the site one way or another. Even if I have to make peanut butter sandwich and jelly sandwiches.
Well, I'm sure those would be good.
Well, where can folks find information about the show?
Well, you go to the IPMS website. We're listed as upcoming shows. Reading the latest journal, somehow we missed that deadline of putting our show flyer in there. But you can go to our website, which is the www.pelicanmodelclub.org. And Pelican spelled differently. It's Pelikan, no C. But Pelican, all one word, pelicanmodelclub.org. And it will take you to a GoDaddy site. And one of the first sliders on the side is Pelican 2025, opening pre-registration. So you can take care of all that online with credit card or whatever safely. $15 is pre-registration. Day of the show is $20. Up to 5 entries. That includes up to 5 entries. $5 for juniors and $8 for walk-ins.
And the date again and place?
April 26th at St. Lawrence Higgins Hall in Tampa, Florida. It's over by the big airport, Tampa International. It's at 5225 North Himes Avenue. Easy to get to. It's not too far from the Hard Rock Casino and I-4 and all those spots. So,
all right. Well, thanks for joining us and giving us the ins and outs, and we wish you all the success at your show.
Yeah, I appreciate the time and the plug. Been listening to you guys for a long time, and I think you do a good job together. You play well off each other, and it's entertainment, and you're one of my favorite shows.
Well, thank you. And when you have your show, please take plenty of photographs and post them up on the dojo, so that people who weren't lucky enough to get down to Florida in April will be able to see what you all had.
Great. Fantastic. I will.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, Don, thanks again, and we wish you all the luck.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity here.
500 entries as a typical, that's not bad.
That's not bad, and not only that, but Florida in March, I mean, how can you beat that? Go to a model contest, then go to the beach and grab some seafood. That sounds awfully nice.
Well, they're benefiting from the population density down there, I'm sure.
Yep.
So, folks, if you're in the greater Tampa area at the end of April timeframe, make a point to get to this show.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, why would you not? If you're a modeler anywhere within decent driving distance, go to the show, man. Enjoy yourself. Make a weekend of it.
Dave, the next one takes us out to the complete opposite end of the country.
Yes, it does.
Diagonally, even.
Yep.
Up in the Pacific Northwest, we have the Seattle Spring Show.
Yep.
From the Seattle Club, Seattle IPMS out there. And if you thought 500 was big, they've got an even bigger one out there for a one-day show.
Yeah. It frankly rivals Heritage Con in size as far as number of entries.
Our second one for the evening is going to be the Seattle Spring Show from those guys out on the West Coast. And tonight we've got Mr. Martin Paietta with us to give us a little bit of ins and outs. Martin, how you doing tonight?
Doing great. How about you and Mike and Dave?
We're good. Been a little rainy, but you're probably used to that out there.
Oh, yeah. It was dumping today.
Well, Martin, we're not too familiar with many of the West Coast shows, so why don't you tell us about your club a little bit first?
Well, the club's been around since 1962. It started out with about 6 to 7 people, and it was in the history and industry, which is now the Mohai. And from what I was told, that the rooms that they used were geared towards elementary school kids, and so wasn't so comfortable to sit down for a meeting.
Little tables and chairs.
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine how that was back in the day. We've done national conventions from the first one in 1965, 1972, and 1992. And currently, we are meeting at the Bellevue Community Center, and we have 140 plus members, and we meet the second Saturday of the month, starting at 10:30.
That's a good size club. That's about the size of our local club here in Louisville.
It is.
Of course, now you've got a much bigger metro area. You've got that huge Seattle. How many IPMS and non-IPMS clubs are there in the Seattle-Tacoma area?
We have the one club that I know of that I go to, and then the Northwest Scale Modelers, which you guys are familiar with
Right.
Jim and some of the other people. And then there's the amps. And
Gotcha.
I know there's a couple more, like there's Gundams and there's car groups, but I'm not familiar with those as well.
Gotcha.
Well, sounds pretty well covered, which means it's probably a great place to have a show.
Yes, we have a lot of people that come.
Well, why don't you tell us about your show?
Well, some of the history last year was we had 220 modelers that registered, and there was 902 entries that we had.
Nice.
We had a great raffle and lots of vendors, food there, and everything else. It was a great show.
Do you always do it around the same time in the spring every year?
Yes, we do.
And so what's the date this year?
The date this year is Saturday, April 26th. The doors open at 9 a.m. and the awards are at 3:30, and things start to close up right after the awards are issued. And we all break our butts to help clean up.
And where is it again?
It is at the Renton Community Center, which is 1715 Maple Valley Highway, Renton, Washington, 98057.
Now, you all do, you said you try and get the awards done around 3:30. That's a trend that Mike and I are seeing in a lot of shows where, they used to drag on till 4 or 5 or even later. And now it seems like clubs are really focused on getting the judging done, getting the awards out, in recognition that you've got a lot of folks who would like to be able to make it a one-day show and get back home.
Well, I kind of misspoke, Dave. The awards start at 3:30.
Okay.
And they do go, but they try and get through them really quickly. It's usually done by 4:30.
Good.
They're only doing really the first and second place and, the main awards that are issued.
That's another trend that Mike and I have seen. Now, you're using a fairly traditional IPMS 1, 2, 3 system with a modified version of the IPMS categories?
It is a traditional IPMS Nationals award, but we don't close the model room, so judges will be walking around working. I haven't had any issues with people, and I don't know if we had any issues. Pretty chill.
That's great. That's another trend that I think Mike and I have observed as we've been doing these show spotlights, is that, and I understand why judges wanted closed judging rooms, because there were occasionally issues. But I do think that people have gotten more comfortable. And if you leave that room open, I think that really enhances the show for people who may have arrived right toward the end of registration and want to get a chance to see the models on the tables prior to the award ceremony beginning. So I'm happy to see that.
I agree with that, especially when it's a 1 day show and people don't have a lot of time to actually see them.
Yeah.
A lot of times myself, I'm running through, or last year I volunteered to take photos of the show and the models out there. I found out yesterday that I'm not even going to be able to make it because we are coming back from visiting my grandfather, who is 100, and in June will be turning 101.
Well, that's
So
important.
it is.
Yeah.
My wife, Gwen was like, whoa, can you do this? Can you do that? I'm like, there'll be other shows.
Yeah.
Grandpa won't be there forever.
That is the proper attitude and the proper perspective. Good on you. Now, does you mentioned food at the show? Is there food at the show? Is there food nearby the show? Do you all bring in food trucks? How is that handled for both the vendors and the attending public?
So there'll be both food at the show and there will be food close by. There's Angel City Deli, which will have coffee and pastries for sale in the morning. And lunch options include a rib plate, roasted chicken plate, or hot dog and Polish sausage with a variety of sides.
Mm.
And then there's a whole bunch of restaurants nearby too.
Now, where do you all draw from? I assume you get some folks coming down from Canada and up from California and Oregon, and you draw from Idaho and maybe Utah, Colorado. What's your general area for
The,
attendees?
the big areas are obviously local here, but the Canadian club comes down and they're always a huge help with volunteering for judging and everything else. Great people. One of
Yeah.
my first lead judges that I learned from, who's now passed away, they would have come down and help judge. And the organ group is also heavily involved with helping us. They're a bunch of great people. Quite a few of them, and they come up and help judge also.
Canadian nice is a stereotype for a reason. I've yet to meet a Canadian that wasn't just the most friendly guy on the planet. It's really nice that your club actually gets the folks who are coming from out of town not only to participate in the show, I mean, enter and all that, but also to actually help out. Because, man, that can be a big slog. Now, you all are a large club, so it's not as bad for you. I know that many smaller clubs, when they put on contests, they struggle with that.
I can just imagine, you do get some people that, and I'm sure this happens in a lot of clubs, where you have a ton of people, or you have a few people that are doing a ton of work, and then you have a few people that are pitching in here and there. But all that adds up to definitely a great show. Everyone kind of gives what they can give. Some, they push it a little bit harder. Our show coordinator, Rick Taylor, has been doing this for a couple of years, but his wife has said, this is the last year.
Yeah, I understand.
Well, what's your registration process? Is it all day of, or do you have something online or forms available, or can it be done electronically? What do you have for your registration system?
You are available to download an entry form, and it's not registering online, but you can download the form, and then you bring it to the contest for registration. And the cost of the registration is adult entries are $20 for unlimited, junior entries $5 unlimited, and spectators are $5. And it's cash only. We don't have a way to take credit cards and so forth. And a lot of the vendors are the same way. They want cash only. So those are the best ways to do that. And then once you have the form, you'll be in line, you'll bring your model through, you'll register, and then you can go set your model out on the table in the assigned areas.
So you mentioned vendors. What are your vendors like as far as the number of tables? And have you sold out the show? Maybe mention one or two of the vendors that may have the larger presence at the show.
So we have 80 vendor tables. There's 67 tables that are sold so far, and we have 41 vendors. I guess the Sprue Man Group is planning on bringing 6,000 plus models to sell.
Oh, wow.
And then we have several other vendors. One of our local model shop stores has not signed up yet. He's usually always there, which is Skyway Models.
Oh, yeah.
But we're assuming that he'll be there. The vendors are there's always stuff to look at. And we usually have Kinetics there. I don't know if they will be there this year, but there's a ton of models to buy.
Well, good. It sounds like you need to bring a wad of cash.
You do need to bring a wad of cash.
Good.
We could ask about a show theme, and in addition to that, is there anything else about the show that's you would consider unique to what you guys do versus some of the other shows in your region?
I think it's just that we have a huge amount of models. It's a large show, and from there we just don't, we include everyone. There's a lot of Gundam there. There's a lot of dioramas there and fantasy stuff. I'm always impressed with what they had or what different people have. Last year, we had this young kid that he made this anime castle that's on feet. I'd never seen it before, but he scratch built everything out of like garbage and like yogurt containers and so forth like that. And the paint job that this kid did was so good that even if it had been a kit, I would have been impressed. But knowing that it was garbage was something even more. And I mean, you couldn't tell it was garbage. I mean, there was rivets and everything like that. So it's amazing to see what these modelers do and see their imagination. You can see new things that these creative people do, and it's great.
Now, do you all have any do you put on any seminars at the show while the show's going on? Any presentations or anything like that?
There's not presentations at this show. Usually we're leaving that to the Northwest scale modelers.
Gotcha.
There is, I forgot to mention, make and take for the kids.
Great.
So the kids can come in and they can build a model and then take it with them. And that's provided by the club.
I was going to ask. That's great.
Well, all right. It sounds like a really big show for a one-dayer. But maybe, that's pretty impressive. We're looking at, most shows down there are like, what, Dave, between 300 and 500, something like that?
Between 300 and 500 is a typical show, maybe a little larger for a regional, but here in the Midwest, 900's an impressive number of models. 220 modelers showing up is pretty darn good.
And I think we had even more right after COVID.
Everybody did. It was amazing.
Everyone pent up and so forth. That year, we usually have a display table also that people can bring, but we're not doing that this year because of running out of room, and we had the same issue the last couple of years.
Gotcha.
But I'm sure if you just have a display, something you want to display, not necessarily add it to the thing, that'll make some room.
Gotcha.
Well, it sounds like a good one to get to in your area, so let's let folks know one more time when and where, and then let's hear the web address again where they can find information online.
It's Saturday, April the 26th. The doors open at 9 a.m. Contest entries close at 12 noon, and it's at Renton Community Center, 1715 Maple Valley Highway, Renton, Washington, 98057. And the website is IPMS-Seattle.org.
Well, I hope you have a great show. I hope you get a really big turnout. I'm sure that between now and April 26th, those remaining 13 or so vendor tables will get sold. And I'm sure it'll be a huge success for you.
I'm sure it will be. Usually those tables are gone and people are looking for more. And luckily, when talking with the kit mask people last year, they were able to make it down. I don't think they're going to make it down this year. I haven't talked to them, so I don't know. But it was really great to meet them. And I reached out to them after listening to them on your podcast. And so they've been really great people to talk with.
Kevin and his wife are good people. There's no question.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, we'll see them at Hamilton in a few days. So Mike and I will mention your show to them.
Yeah, definitely. I love Kevin and Janelle. They're really nice people.
Yep, good people.
Well, all right. Well, thank you for joining us. We're happy to help you promote the show, and we wish you great success.
One last request. When the show, have somebody, I know you're not going to be able to make it, but have somebody at the show take some pictures and post it on the Plastic Model Dojo on Facebook so that those of us who can't get to the West Coast can see some of these fantastic models.
We do actually have photographers. Normally, I would be photographing also with a group of other guys. We do post those on the website, and we can put a link on your guys' Facebook.
That would be great. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to hearing how it went.
Sounds good. Thank you, gentlemen.
900 at a one-day show that's not Heritage Con is that is big. That's a sizable show.
That is a very impressive show.
I hope we see some imagery from that one.
Yep.
After the fact, because I'd really like to see what that looks like. They got some galleries on their website. I need to go back and look at the others. So
I would really like to go. Tie a trip out to see Jim in with that show. Maybe next year. Who knows? We'll see.
Well, Dave, by the time this drops, we'll be getting ready to attend our first big show of the year.
I've already started packing, man.
Well, I don't have a lot to pack, but I guess I've started packing too. We are going to be up at Heritage Con in Hamilton, Ontario, at the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum, and we look forward to seeing all our fine Canadian friends and the folks from the Hamilton Club and just seeing an absolutely terrific model show.
And guys, if there is any way you can get to Hamilton, now keep in mind the show's on Sunday, but if you can get there, go. If I were to name the 3 most impressive model shows in North America, the 3 that always are just super impressive and a cut above are the Nationals, AMPS Nationals, and Heritage Con. And let me throw in there MMSI in Chicago as well, just because it's a great place to see the art of figures, which is just so different, so special. The other one that I would throw in is the one here locally, which is Wonderfest.
Yeah.
But Mike and I are fans of contests, as you all know. But if you can get to Heritage Con, you should do so. You will not regret it. I guarantee you will have a good time.
Well, we will be there. And
yes, we will.
If any of you listening out there in attendance, please come by the table and introduce yourself and say hello. And we look forward to meeting you, and as well as seeing all our old friends. So
yes,
looking forward to it, man.
Yep, I am too. Well, we'll see how much coverage we can get at the show up there.
We'll get to a show, folks. It's a lot of fun.
It is.